Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge Fate Stay Night Remastered. Glaube ich zumindest, dass das Remastered ist gerade. Irgendwie habe ich gerade einen Hänger. Egal. Wir sind ja immer noch im Prolog. Ich hoffe, dass ich den Prolog jetzt mal in dieser Folge abschließen werde. Gut. The school day is over. The classroom steadily empty. And the campus darkens by the hour. The crimson sun will set soon. Once night falls, there won't be anyone left around.
始めるわよ、アーチャー。まずは結界の下調べ。どんな結界かを調べてから、消すか残すか決めましょう。
I speak to my invisible partner. I feel him not in acknowledgement. Bounded fields are meant to protect the casters. You can consider them a terrain-based magecraft formed by weaving magic energy into a net and applying it to the earth to affect the inside of the field. There are countless types of effects they can have, ranging from wards that isolate an area from the outside world to avoid detection to fields that limit the type of magecraft that can be activated within. The most offensive type suppresses biological functions inside the area of effect. And that is what has been applied to the school grounds. While it isn't finished, everyone in the school will collapse once it's activated. Something like that wouldn't work on me though. Sorry. Bounded fields are after all targeted at the area I'm in, not me specifically. Shut's indirect magic interference won't affect the mage with magical energy flowing through her body. Similar, the electrical charges that flow in the atmosphere won't disturb the electrical currents within my body. That means the bounded field has some other purpose. Whoever it is that puts this thing here isn't trying to defeat the master with it. I don't want to believe it, but they are targeting all the people within the school. There's only one possible reason for that. It's a thought I can't stomach. After checking all around campus, I finished my search on the roof. It's thoroughly dark outside now. The school gates shut at 6 p.m. and it's now 8 p.m. Archer and I are the only ones left, and Archer is in the spirit form.
これで7つ目か。とりあえずここが起点みたいね。
There are 8 symbols boldly drawn on the rooftop. They are purplishly red marks that only a mage can see. I've never seen or heard of sigils like these.
参ったな。これ私の手には負えない。
Whoever set up this bounded field did it recklessly. But while imprudent, the magical working itself is an order of magnitude beyond my own skills. I could temporarily erase the energy of the curse, but I have no way to dispel the bounded field itself. All the spellcasters needs to do is supply it with more energy to reactivate the curse's effect. Archer doesn't comment. He's probably remained silent since encountering the rooftop sigils, because he has to realize their nature. Because he too has realized their nature, this bounded field does more than drain its victim's stamina. It will literally melt everyone inside once it's turned on. There are bounded fields which rob victims of their life force and spiritual energy. But the spell that has been applied to the school ground is on a whole different level. This is no less than the Soul Eater, a blood fort which melts the human bodies inside it and forcibly collects the souls that ooze out. Since antiquity, souls have always been difficult to handle. They are theorized to exist and are considered to be necessary components of magecraft, but only one mage has ever proven their existence. Our definition of soul stops at that which examines within, and that which is transferred between vessels. To not only extract souls but then capture them in one place, it defies comprehension. What is a mage supposed to do with a bunch of energy we can't even convert? So if I had to think of a purpose for it... Archer.
あなたたちってそういうもの？
It comes out colder than I intended.
ご推察の通りだ。我々は基本的に例題だと言っただろう。故に食事は第2ないし第3要素となる。君たちが肉を栄養とするように、サーバントは精神と魂を栄養とする。栄養を取ったところで基本的な能力は変わらないが、取り入れれば取り入れるほどタフになる。つまり魔力の貯蔵量が上がっていくというわけだ。
He is right. The way to make your own servant stronger is to indiscriminately attack human beings.
マスターから提供される魔力だけじゃ足りないってこと？
足りなくはないが、大いに越したことはない。実力が劣る場合、弱点を武士で補うのが戦争だろ。周囲の人間からエネルギーを奪うのはマスターとしては基本的な戦略だ。そういった意味で言えば、この結界は効率がいい。
Archer saying that I should murder people and take their power if I want to win. It's so simple. I've always known this to be true. And I know it's the path I'm supposed to walk.
それ勘に触るわ。二度と口にしないで、アーチャー。
Staring at the sigils, I make my stance clear. Oddly, Archer sounds just as put off.
同感だ。私も真似をするつもりはない。
His answer comes firm and resolute.
さて、それじゃ消そうか。無駄だろうけど、とりあえず邪魔をするぐらいにはなる。
I approach the sigil and extend my left hand. The magic crest engraved on my arm is like a grimoire passed down from the Tosaka line. I meant to switch flick. I pass magic energy through the magic crest and load a verse of bounded field and erasure. Take a deep breath and activate it. I then send a pulse of magic energy via my left arm and that should wash away the sigil for now.
なんだよ、消しちまうのか？もったいねえ。
Suddenly, a third voice chimes in while I'm casting the spell. I whirl around. Yay! Lancer! A man is perched on top of the water tower, some 10 meters above, looking down at me. He is clad in a deep blue that blends into the night. His mouth is drawn into a grin and he has a bestial air egal about him. The beast's gaze is sharp and clear. In this bizarre situation, the man in blue watches me as if he is greeting a friend he hasn't seen in a decade.
これ、あなたの仕業？
いや、小細工を浪するのは魔術師の役割だ。俺たちはただ命じられたまま戦うのみ。だろ？そこの兄さんよ。
His tone is lethal yet carefree. This man can see Archer.
やっぱり、サーバント。
そうとも。ね、それがわかるお嬢ちゃんは、俺の敵ってことでいいのかな？
My spine tenses. The man's voice is detached and nonchalant, but it's colder than anyone I've ever heard. So scary it's nauseating. What's the best move here? I don't know. But my brain is still working enough to tell me that I absolutely must not fight him.
ほう、大したもんだ。何もわからねえようで要点は抑えてやがる。ああ、失敗したなこりゃ。面白がって声をかけるんじゃなかったぜ。
The man raises an arm. It appears in a flash. His once empty hand now holds... das sieht so geil aus. A scarlet 2-meter-long weapon. My legs throw me to the side before I can think. There isn't time to even hesitate about jumping off the roof. With all my might I make a dash for the fence, intending to barrel right through it. A cyclone lifts my hair into the air. It was by the skin of my teeth. In that instant something slices through the space I just I was just tearing the fence apart with it.
いい足してるな、お嬢ちゃん。
The blue warren pursues me. There's no way out. The fence is behind me. My flanks are cut off. I won't make it. I react swiftly. My magic quest surges to life, so I can weave a single count mantra. The spell lightens mass and manipulates gravity. Light as a feather, my body bounds into the air. And I jump over the fence to plummet it off the roof. Air resistance and gravity push and pull along my body. It's about 50 meters to the ground. 1.7 seconds away. Too slow. He's going to catch up to me. I let Archer absorb the shock of the landing and break into a dash as soon as we touched down. I couldn't stay on that rooftop. We need a less cramped arena from which to maneuver freely. A battlefield without obstacles where Archer and I can truly shine. It takes me less than 7 seconds to escape from the roof to the schoolyard. A distance of over 100 meters crossed at a pace of no normal person can manage, much less clearly see. And yet.
いや、本気でいい足だ。ここで仕留めるのはいささかもったいなさすぎるか。
Against a servant, it's wasted effort. At the same time I draw back, Archer materialized before me. It's a cloudy night. Archer's hand grips a short sword that faintly reflects the moonlight. The man's lips twist into an ominous sneer.
いいね、そう来なくっちゃ。話が早いやつは嫌いじゃない。
The warrant holds. It's the weapon he swung at me on the rooftop, a spear of blood like crimson that came mercilessly for my head.
ランサーのサーバント。
いかにも、そういうあんたのサーバントはセイバーって感じじゃねえな。何者だ、てめえ。
Gone is his carefree ease from a moment ago. Archer stays silent, facing off against Lancer's unconcealed bloodlust. There's just under 5 meters between them. Lancer's weapon is nearly 2 meters long. It doesn't feel like this beast of a man is going to be deterred by a mere 3 meter difference.
まっとうな一騎打ちをするタイプじゃねえな、てめえは。ってことは、アーチャーか。
Archer doesn't take the bait. An unusual class of blue and red stare each other down. The two knights, somewhat similar in dress, actually mutually calculate the other's demise.
いいぜ。好みじゃねえが、出会ったからにはやるだけだ。そら、獲物を出せよ、アーチャー。これでも礼はわきまえているからな。それぐらいは待ってやる。
Archer doesn't answer. His back, as steely as a sword, seems to convey that he must not have anything to say to someone he must defeat. That's when I realize it. I am shut the fool. Archer was waiting for my word.
Archer?
I called out to him without getting any closer.
手助けはしないわ。あなたの力、ここで見せて。
Was that a laugh? The red knight stretches forward, his lips curled in response. Wind spurts. A scarlet bullet flies forth, blade in hand. A blue spear thrust intercepts him. As a charging archer is a gust of wind, then the spear tip that rises to meet him is a divine storm. Striking blades, elegant parries. Archer is put on the defensive, fending off the swift thrust with his sword short. The man in red is stopped in his tracks, has advanced denied by the enemy. He can't even reach the 2 meter coverage of the spear. A pole arm wielder can control his opponent's rage. Lancer, with his nearly 2 meter reach, needs to simply engage his foe whenever he comes within range. It's easier for him to step an advancing opponent than it is for him to go after Archer himself. Despite this, Lancer closes the distance himself to press the attack, all the while keeping Archer from advancing further.
たわけ旧兵風情が接近戦を挑んだな。
Lancer's snarl is fury. With each thrust, Lancer closes in, their sword never letting up for a second. Moving into close is suicide for a spear wielder. The advantage of the spear is the ability to control the enemy's position. Lancer shouldn't have a chance if he keeps closing in.
嘘。
But that's only according to conventional wisdom. Unerringly and unceasingly, Lancer spear seeks to pierce Archer's throat, shoulder, forehead and heart. The strikes are too swift to even leave an afterimage. Archer is forced to parry, block or evade every move of the spear. Any strike, if true, would be a mortal blow. Still, Archer is a servant, even if he specializes with the bow. He won't be brought down so easily by mundane attacks. The thrust at his forehead is quickly battered aside and Archer renews his charge in spite of Lancer's spear. One might think that swordplay is all there is to Archer's attack, but he is exploiting a weakness of spear tactics. Against a spear's considerable reach, neither retreat nor evasion are viable defenses for long. A half-hearted withdrawal isn't enough to get out of range, while probing attacks will lead to evisceration. A reckless charge will similarly end in impalement at the edge of the spear's range. Archer and Lancer have more or less the same physical stature. Without heavy armor, it's difficult for Archer to penetrate the lethal storm of Lancer's attack radius. But Lancer strikes are a different story. The high-speed thrust intended to pierce vital points are indeed terrifying. But each strike has a set trajectory and target. If one can predict these, then there are ways to avoid harm. Just as Archer is doing, one can block strikes aimed at vital points or just barely evade the arcs to create safe openings. Lancer probably underestimated him as a range specialist. The advantage of a long weapon is a generous range at which one can engage the opponent. By giving that up, Lancer is assured his The man in red stops in his tracks. I watched a nightmare unfold as if time has rewinded. Lancer's attacks become even faster than before. Archer's sword is knocked aside as he twists to avoid being skewered. Lancer's spear doesn't allow retreat, or rather, his endless attacks are so fierce and sharp that even servants are doomed against them. We were the ones who underestimated our enemy. That servant, that Lancer and his spear can't be described in mundane martial terms. Who could possibly survive such a relentless barrage? Archer beats a desperate retreat while parrying strikes, creating slightly more distance between the fighters. In that moment, Lancer steps into the gap and unleashes an even more ferocious attack. The storm of attacks is little different from what he has already been doing, but the execution is truly godlike. They have already clashed 10 times. No, it's actually several times more than that. The torrent of spear strikes increases again in intensity and number, threatening to take Archer's life 1,000 times over. It isn't even a change in speed, but in precision. At a steady pace, Lancer's spear comes down on Archer like a waterfall. How can Archer get inside his guard? With such a short weapon, all he can do is defend against the spear. He has no way to close in on Lancer. In fact, he's being forced backwards. The steel vacuum stretches out. I should be backing Archer, but the right words die in my throat. My magecraft isn't easy to aim precisely. I risk hitting Archer too if he can't get far away enough from Lancer. Meanwhile, Lancer's advantage will only deepen. And to be honest, I am captivated by the duel. So this is a battle between servants. The Holy Grail War is a battle between familiars of the highest order, heroic spirits. Beings that we just can't begin to approach. Servants. Familiars divided among 7 classes and worlds, serving 7 masters. Supreme Familiars called forth by the Holy Grail itself. Familiar is a really misnomer for them. Familiars are supposed to be subservient minions who act on behalf of a mage. Normally you would imagine something like Spaß in Boots, an elegant white bird, or a disobedient black dog, something like that. Those sorts of familiars are what a typical mage can manage to command. Familiars are just that, from the Latin for a menial servant. It's inconceivable that the mascot used for manual labor would be stronger than its master. Servants are a different story. They are quite literally the most powerful examples of humanity. Even the 5 magicians wouldn't be able to control them. It's difficult to summon a servant, but not because servants are more powerful than mages. Servants are beings that surpass magecraft itself. Saber. To be clear, servants are heroes of the past. Myths, legends, fables, histories. We call the glorious superhumans from our traditions heroes, whether the tales are true or not. Immortalized by what humanity says about them, the key is to be merely human after death, and ascend to something greater. People who work miracles, who save multitudes, who accomplish great feats, are elevated into the status of heroes, either in life or after death. They become a type of elemental we call heroic spirit, guardians of the human race. It doesn't matter whether they were historical people or characters from mythology. Heroes are created by the sorts of people. We imagine them as the idols we wish they were and treat them as they were real. Objective truth is irrelevant. Fame and faith are sufficient to give form to these legends. They're humanity's ultimate ideals, the greatest among us. That's what it means to be a hero and a heroic spirit. That's right, it's impossible for me, human, to control something greater than human. What mages usually do is borrow a portion of their power and imitate their feats. Summoning a complete heroic spirit is simply impossible. Yet the Holy Grail makes it possible. It allows us to summon these spirits in the flesh and even binds them to our command. The sheer absurdity of it proves the Grail's omnipotence. That's how heroic spirits are summoned from across time, whether from the age of gods or as recent as a century ago. The 7 heroic spirits serve and protect them 7 masters, and each master sends their servants out to defeat enemy masters. It's a deathmatch between heroes of every age and land. That's the story behind the ritual we call the Holy Grail. Of course, there are limits to what the Grail can do. Even the Holy Grail can't indiscriminately summon mythic beings akin to elementals, just as a form created by the people is required to materialize the fixed theoretical factor known as demons. Heroic spirits need a material form to operate in this world. This is a temporary label, and the way they are allowed to exist in this world. The Holy Grail provides vessels that heroic spirits can easily materialize in, called classes, and only heroic spirits that fit these classes can be summoned. A class is like a passport that lets a heroic spirit visit the modern era to act as a familiar. It's a martial material vessel that they temporarily possess. There are 7 masters and 7 heroic spirits to serve them. Oh, sorry, irgendwie krieg ich gerade Kopfschmerzen, deshalb ist das gerade etwas anstrengend für mich. Each is assigned one of the 7 classes. Saber, the Knight of the Sword. Lancer, the Knight of the Spear. Archer, the Knight of the Bow. Rider, the Cavalier. Caster, the Mage. Assassin, the Silent Killer. Berserker, the Mad Warrior. Only heroic spirits with attributes corresponding to the 7 classes can be summoned to the modern world, and they become servants whom the masters command. That's the servant system. Humans summon and make contracts with heroic spirits beyond our ability to handle, all in hopes of winning a miracle beyond our ken. It's the greatest of battles that can only only happen here in this land, like no other Holy Grail war. The duel reaches an even higher pitch. The short sword goes flying from Archer's hand after blocking one of Lancer's strikes. Lancer's skill is consummate. A seemingly straight thrust suddenly wiped into a disarming arc at Archer's wrist. It was an attack that Archer couldn't have avoided, even if he saw it coming. There isn't an effective way to parry the spear with his sword. A forceful block is countered with an even keener strike, while defending with minimal force he will never create an opening to exploit. The clash between sword and spear is shaping up into an intense struggle to defeat an enemy outside of Archer's reach. There's no hesitation in Lancer, even as he taunts Archer. He pauses from the constant pressure he puts on Archer. Does he intend to settle the duel in an instant? Lancer takes a firmly rooted stance, trading a fierce blade with the now unarmed Archer. It happens in an instant. In the span of a breath, Lancer loses a flurry of blows that's no less than a flash of light. Imperceptible. Forehead, neck and heart. The spear moves the skewer all three. And yet, another flash of light counters the first that I couldn't even follow. Archer's hand grabs a third sword once more. Like the weapon he used earlier, it's a Chinese sword not dissimilar to a cleaver. But the greatest difference between them is blade and blade. In each hand he grips a sword, each clearly meant to complement the other. Lancer's spear sings through the air. Oh, das sieht schon echt geil aus. That becomes even faster as if to herald Archer's certain death. The duel becomes a symphony of clashing blades. Two steel instruments play a resounding chorus. The sparks of the conflict rising to a never-ending crescendo. The battle is like a vacuum. It sucks in all the air around it, making me feel like I will be cut if I even dare to approach. It all happened in an instant, really. But as I watched with bated breath, the moment seemed to stretch on. Lancer keeps his foe on his fatal pocket, while Archer attempts to close the gap with his shield of dual swords. They've clashed over 100 times already, Archer losing a weapon each time. But instantly another sword appears in Archer's empty head, and Lancer is slightly driven back each time. Lancer finally acknowledges his miscalculation. He has no idea who he is fighting. But it would be a mistake to keep dismissing his opponent as a bowman. A space opens up between them. Lancer puts significant distance between them. Maybe he intends to start over. Zed's agility is normal. Archer's charge defies human ability, but he is sluggish next to Lancer. The swiftness of Lancer's retreat had the speed and grace of a leopard.
27. それだけ弾き飛ばしてもまだあるとはな。
Lancer sounds irritated. Actually, he sounds more confused than upset. I feel the same way. According to my father, 7 typically only have one weapon. They're supposed to be singular relics of unimaginable power, not expendable items to be drawn over and over like Archer's doing. Some are heroes whose spiritual rank are elevated to the magnitude of elementals or divine spirits after death. In a way, they are not unlike angels and demons. They are powerful familiars on their own, but their greatest strength is the mighty weapon that proves they are heroes. We call these magic items noble phantasm. They are the favored weapons or armor that the servant used while it was a living hero, and it's literally the servant's secret weapon. To a servant, a noble phantasm is a one-of-a-kind armament. It's a servant's indispensable ultimate weapon as well. The same goes for Lancer's spear. It can exhibit its power as a noble phantasm if he so chooses. A noble phantasm is a formidable weapon on its own, but its true power is expressed by invoking its true name. Heroes' weapons are known to have slain dragons and gods, to have conquered the earth. Servants activate noble phantasms with their own magical energy. It's not unlike Magecraft actually. Servants use the noble phantasm as catalyst to recreate the destruction from the legend. A noble phantasm is most certainly not a disposable tool. Archer has produced dozens of swords by now. Each seems like a masterwork unto itself, but they surely can't be his noble phantasm. He is an archer after all. His secret weapon must be some kind of bow.
どうしたランサー。様子見とは君らしくないな。先ほどの勢いはどこに行った？
ち、タヌキが減らず口を叩きやがるか。
The cause of Lance's irritation is obvious. Lance has been fighting as a spearman, while Archer has been fending him off as a swordsman, meaning that Archer hasn't revealed his cards yet. That must be frustrating to deal with.
いいぜ、聞いてやるよ。てめえどこの英雄だ？二頭使いの旧兵なぞ聞いたことがない。
そういう君は分かりやすいな。僧兵には最速の英雄が選ばれるというが、君はその中でもえりすぐりだ。これほどの宗師は世界に3人といまい。加えて獣のごとき敏捷さといえばおそらく1人。
ほう、よく言ったアーチャー。
For a moment, the bloodlust is so strong I forget to breathe. Lancer's arms move. It's a deliberate stance without any of the nonchalance he has shown thus far. His spear tips dips, as if to puncture the ground, but Lancer's eyes bore straight through Archer.
ならば食らうか。我が必殺の一撃を。
止めはしない。いずれ越えねばならぬ敵だ。
Lancer lowers his stance. Simultaneously, a thorny bitter coat overtakes the schoolyard. The air freezes. I don't mean that metaphorically, it's literally ice cold. All of the mana in the atmosphere freezes solid. Only the warrior Lancer is allowed to breathe in this space. The spear in Lancer's hands is undoubtedly magical. Its true form eager to burst forth. Oh no, he's going to die. I don't know what kind of noble phantasm that is, but Archer is fittest. It's the first time I've had this kind of premonition, and hard as it is to believe, I don't doubt it for a second. If Lancer unleashes his spear, Archer will die. That's absolutely certain. As Lancer says, his spear means death. Archer will lose. Lancer will stab him through the heart and he will die. Despite that, despite these premonitions, despite this insight, I can't even help Archer. I feel like if I so much as lift a finger, it will signal the beginning of the end. If there's a way to prevent Archer's defeat, then it can only be
誰だ?
the sudden appearance of a third party whom we've all overlooked. Und an dem Punkt würde ich sagen, beende ich jetzt mal hier diese Folge. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.